Welcome to another episode of I Am Eleni Samanti. This is a podcast where I share my beliefs, perspectives, and insights along my spiritual journey. Today I feel really called to talk about perfectionism because perfectionism has something that has been a challenge my entire life. And once I went through my spiritual awakening journey and really dedicated myself to doing the inner work and coming back home to who I am, I really wanted to learn and understand perfectionism more. And I've been on this journey for quite some time, and I have definitely feel like I've come to understand perfectionism. So I want to share my mindset shifts that's helped me let go of this illusion. What I've come to understand is that perfectionism is an illusion that distracts you from your purpose. And when we look at perfectionism through the lens of society's standards of perfection is always shifting, always changing. So it's not objectively definable. And if it's not objectively definable, that means it's a made-up concept. It was created to shift us from our own path. Authenticity, in my belief, is the complete opposite of perfectionism. So when I break that down, I think about like how perfectionism creates complexity, whereas authenticity creates simplicity. When you are embodying the highest frequency, which is authenticity, it is just being. It's just truly being in the state of who you actually are. Perfectionism is the complete opposite of being. It takes so much work to be perfect. You end up exerting so much energy and you're so exhausted from having to live up to these standards that aren't even in alignment with who you are. And so it takes a lot of work. So when I think about being authentic, it actually doesn't take a lot of work to just truly be. I mean, obviously it could seem like it takes work because there's a lot of letting go of conditioning, but when you really allow yourself to just be, you're not in a state of working hard. Whereas when you're working towards perfectionism, you are going to exert a lot of energy, which is the opposite of our nature. And so when I think about being perfect, I think about locking myself up in the system that we call the matrix, or locking myself in this 3D world and not really allowing my soul to expand out of that dimension. And what I find to be really beautiful is I really see that everything is an art form and authenticity is an art form. Like when I think about creating anything at all, like for example, I love writing songs. That is one of my biggest passions. So when I think about writing a song can be messy at first. You're writing lyrics, you're scratching things out, you're rewriting them, you're playing with the guitar, you're writing some melodies, you're changing the melodies up. You know, there's a lot of moving parts. So in the midst of becoming your authentic self, it can look very messy, which is the opposite of what perfectionism is. I feel like I associate perfectionism with being very clean and tidy when authenticity, it's like you have to get a little messy to get there. But you get messy to finally create something that is so beautiful, and that is art. And so when I think about it too, when I think about letting go of perfectionism, I think about allowing myself to be creative, allowing myself to create art. And that I always think is beautiful. I'm a very creative person, and anytime I can find creativity in something, even if it's not traditional in the way that we think of creativity, that gives me the go ahead to let go. of whatever I'm holding on to, and in this case would be perfectionism. At the times that I have sat with nature, nature has taught me that there is beauty in embodying imperfections. For example, a tree doesn't grow in a straight line. It bends towards the light. It grows around obstacles. It loses branches. And yet, it still becomes a tree. And that right there, when I think of letting go of perfectionism, it's about embodying my true nature. Coming back home to myself. And I've just come to understand that perfectionism is just a part of the conditioning. And as I've let go of this wound of mine, probably one of my biggest wounds that I had, I was sitting down and learning like the cost of perfectionism. What perfectionism has cost me all these years. It cost me my sense of identity, which is closely related to costing me my own freedom. Because I feel like when you don't allow yourself to just be who you are, you don't allow yourself to be free. And I value freedom so much. When I'm in that space of being in the illusion of being perfect, I'm not standing in my truth. I'm not standing in my value. That's a huge cost right there. And I think I'm just at the point in my life where I'm just over allowing all these things that have been weighing me down to cost me my freedom, to cost me my happiness. I also understood that perfectionism was costing me abundance in all aspects. But definitely I would say abundance in finances, abundance in freedom, abundance in happiness, abundance in opportunities. Like there's so many things. I could tell you so many times where I have started something and then I would just scrap it because I'm like, it's not perfect enough. I can't put it out. And also perfectionism is closely related to judging yourself. And that's another thing. I'm like, I don't want to judge myself anymore for creating. And that's something that Spirit taught me that is absolutely so beautiful. I have a video on this that I will link somewhere, probably in the description, that relates to what I'm saying. Every time I have started something and scrapped it because I'm like, this isn't perfect enough, it's just a reminder of how much society's illusion had a hold on me. Because when it comes to creating something, Spirit has taught me that creating isn't for the sake of measurement, but it is the sake of just expressing. And that's another thing that I have learned to understand when I tap into that divine feminine energy in me. She just truly desires to express. She doesn't desire to be great, good, bad, or whatever kind of measurement, positive or negative. She just simply desires to express authentically. And again, that points to just being free. This is how I've allowed myself to let go of my perfectionism wound, was just really understanding perfectionism more and shifting my mindset and realizing, like, I always look to seek for the truth. I really appreciate the truth. And when I can recognize that I have been holding on to something that is an illusion and is not the truth, that allows me the freedom to let go of whatever it is. Something that allows me to help let go of whatever wound I'm working on, or any mindset I want to shift, is understanding your values is super important. I understand what I value, and when I realize I'm doing something that's out of alignment, that's not what I value, and I can seek out the truth in that, that gives me a lot of peace to let go of whatever I'm holding on so tightly to. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you in the next video.